Hello and welcome to Have You Got Your Shit Together with me, Caitlin O'Ryan, the podcast that celebrates not having your shit together. On today's episode, we have Rosie Carney. Rosie is a singer-songwriter who can count Lily James and cigarettes after sex among her followers. Her latest album, I Wanna Feel Happy, explores Rosie's personal mental health struggles against the backdrop of a musical career. I loved chatting to Rosie. She speaks so openly about her journey with mental health and navigating a career as a young female in the music industry. We do touch on topics such as eating disorders and depression, so if this is a trigger for you, then maybe give it a little miss. If you haven't listened to any of Rosie's music yet, you should, because it's absolutely gorgeous. I hope you enjoyed the episode. We had a right laugh.
Hi Rosie.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for coming onto the podcast.
Oh my God, of course, finally.
I know,
We've
been
made it
trying
work.
to arrange this for a very long time, but you've been away on tour and I've broke my foot and been in America and all of these things. As you do. It's very classic. So, on a scale of shit to together, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling I'd say a 4. What would a 4 be?
I mean, I'm thinking that shit together is a scale of 1 to 10.
Yeah.
Is that what
Right.
you're going with? Because
That's
if
what
it's
I'm going
100, then we should be talking to some people. But four is less than average.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think I've just, I'm on a bit of a come down after the gig I just played.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know.
Which was at Union Chapel, you were just saying.
Union Chapel, yeah. And it's
Beautiful
always so beautiful and it's always such a build up and like so much nerves and so much pressure that goes into just 30 minutes of my time.
Oh my God, yeah.
And then you just kind of get off the stage and you're like, well, that was that.
Yeah, it's
and then
weird,
the
isn't
feeling
it?
lingers for like the rest of eternity.
Yeah. I was listening to a Sam Smith interview. That moment after you've done a big show and you go back into the green room and you're on your own and that's like the moment that'll kill you.
It honestly is. It's
Yeah.
crazy because, and touring as well, like it's a really crazy thing for like people to do, just like with the adrenaline rush and then the come down afterwards. It's like chemically like so crazy and hard on us. I mean, it's also great. Like my dad came and it was nice to see him and like my boyfriend was waiting for me in the green room afterwards as well. So yeah. There are pros, but it's also like, what am I doing?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's strange. It's strange when your kind of your perception of who you are is kind of different to what people see of you. I can imagine when people come in to see you at a gig or something, their idea of who you are, and then when you leave that stage and you return to who you are, I always find that quite jarring with acting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like if I have a experience when I'm meeting fans or something, that's the thing that fucks my head up a little bit.
Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes, and as well with me, a lot I get imposter syndrome, and I totally understand that.
Yeah. Do you get that even with like writing your own stuff?
Sometimes, sometimes I like fall down a hole of like, writing music that I think just sounds shit, and then everything I come up with just sounds absolutely terrible. Am I allowed to swear, by the way?
Oh yeah, mate, it's called Have You Got Your Shit Together? There's literally shit in every question.
Great.
Say it all.
But yeah, like I don't know, I focus too much on like the music I listen to and how I can make my own sound instead of like it like allowing it to influence me in a healthy way. I like become like, oh shit, all my songs are shit and everything needs to. Yeah.
I was literally speaking about this last night to my friend about that difference between your idea of who you are and where you want to be and your taste and the disparity between that and where you feel like you are. And sometimes that gap can just feel really overwhelming because you'll write something and, you know, when I write poetry or whatever, I'll write something and then if I step away from it and I come back, I'm just like, that's fucking shit. What was I doing there? And then you overthink it and you kind of, I don't know, like a corporate mind that is judging it. Will other people like it rather than being like, is it serving me anymore?
No, absolutely. I experienced that so badly when we first went into lockdown.
Yeah.
Dreaded lockdown.
Yes.
God, trigger warning. In 2020, like as soon as we went into lockdown, like everyone was just like, you know, churning out. It seemed to me, everyone was just like hopping online and like still being able to like progress in their music and stuff. And I just fell down such a rabbit hole of just making music that I thought would sound like theirs and would appeal to people instead of what music that would like, is authentic to me. And I remember I was writing like, I don't know, like 3 songs a day and like sending them to my manager, and he was just like, why don't you take a break? And I was like, no, I must keep writing. It needs to sound good. And then I just like, it gave me a whole identity crisis, and I ended up like going home to Ireland, and I stopped writing for the whole year. And that's when I like recorded The Bends by Radiohead. Because I was just completely like, what the fuck what am I doing? Like,
sometimes you have to kind of go back to be able to take stock again, don't you?
No, completely.
And that sensation in lockdown of feeling like, well, the world has stopped and now is my time to, I don't have any commitments. I'm just going to sit here and write my novel. And then every day just being like, well, I don't have anything to say. Like, and feeling like you don't have much to contribute and all of those things. It can be such a mindfuck.
Yeah, it was very tough.
Yeah.
But I feel like it was necessary because it kind of brought me back to myself as well. Like I wrote all the wrong songs to like kind of figure out how to write again and do it in a way that felt really more authentic to me and more authentic to anything I've ever written. And that's when I wrote my latest album. It all came from that.
Wow. And they say that about writing, don't they? That like it's a muscle and you should just try and write a thing a day, even if it's shit. But it's so hard to do that sometimes. Like I'll sit down with like a pen and paper and I'm just like, nothing to say.
Honestly, like because of that whole like thing that I went through in lockdown, it's given me the fear and I can't like, I have to wait until I feel the inspiration, and it comes every like, I would say 4 or 5 months. I'll just feel it.
And what is it? It's like, it's out of body, isn't it? It's
it
weird.
Really is. Yeah. It's almost like a tingling feeling without sounding cheesy. It's like I can feel it coming.
It's coming. Shut the windows.
Literally light a candle. No, it's a really crazy feeling to explain, but I get so excited and like.
But that's why we do it, isn't it?
Exactly.
That's the magic for sure.
Definitely.
I always find this a really interesting. Whenever I have musicians, I always kind of ask this question. But like, when you're approaching music, do you start with the lyrics or do you start with the music first? Because you're a singer-songwriter, and what I love about your songs is the writing, like the poetry is just beautiful.
You. Usually it comes after the melody.
Right.
That's what inspires me. I'll set up like a little studio space on my bedroom floor and I'll put my headphones on and I'll put reverb to max because I want to be swimming in sound. And that's usually like, I don't know, the frequencies of the reverb, and sometimes I'll have like a drone going and I'll just like play the guitar over that and that's what inspires me. And once I like find some kind of structure within the melody, that's when the lyrics start to come.
God, so many levels to it.
Yeah,
I find it fascinating. I think it's just something that, because I can't, like, I've tried, because I'll write like a poem, I do it that way, and then I'll get like my 4 open chords on a guitar and try to fit it, and it just sounds trash. So that's not how they do it. Clearly I'm going wrong. What does having your shit together mean to you? What does that look like?
I think it looks like just like, this might be a cheesy answer, but just like genuinely just being happy.
Right.
I think that's what that would mean. Just like feeling comfortable within myself and confident with who I am and feeling happy and healthy. That's to me what having my shit together would be.
Content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm none of those things.
But also I think it's like, I agree, like that's definitely something that I aim for, but I think more recently I've started to realise that like happiness too is an emotion and it's not always going to be sustainable. No. So what is left in that space is like peace maybe, or like I've said this before, but like a resilience, or
just like acceptance,
being able to take, because shit is going to happen, and it's just being able to feel strong enough to deal with it without it all just overloading you and
exactly
crashing down.
That's definitely what it, I mean, obviously as well, like being an adult and like paying an electricity bill on time and paying rent, like sure, that's great.
But you can do all of those things and be absolutely crumbling inside. Like, let's not pretend.
Oh, rent day is it's tough.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so I asked you to think or bring in an object that makes you feel like you've got your shit together. So what is that?
I thought long and hard about this, and so the things that kept coming to mind were my house plants, specifically my peace lily.
Okay.
That I have somehow...
Content, really. She's found
happy.
Happiness.
She's thriving. Very dramatic. But yeah, I've managed to keep her alive for about 4 years now.
Oh my
and
God.
she's starting to flower every summer now, which I'm also actually, she keeps flowering every
Hot
time I
girl
move into
summer.
a new yep. Every time I move into a new place, which has been for the last 3 summers.
Wow.
She flowers.
Wow.
It's like she's like, yeah, you're doing great.
Oh, that's so nice.
So yeah, that's my object.
How many years have you had her?
4.
Do you remember getting her?
Yes, I did. I think I got her in Sainsbury's.
Sainsbury's do good plants.
Honestly, that
Yeah.
calathea that you got one
we got
too.
at the same
Yeah.
time. Yeah, so Rosie used to live in Whitechapel, and so Rosie lived with John Bell. That's how we knew each other.
Yeah.
And I was on the way back to theirs with John, and we popped into Sainsbury's, and ended up both buying these beautiful plants. And I was like overwhelmed by the stock in there. It's so lovely.
Yeah.
I know. I definitely feel like that's an element of my life which I'm missing, is the ability to keep plants alive.
Didn't yours die like on the way home or something? Sorry, I'm to expose you.
No, absolutely, how rude. No, this was actually from what's the flower market in London? I forgot the name
Columbia
of it.
Road.
Yes, Columbia Road Flower Market. So I literally bought this beautiful plant from Columbia Road Flower Market. I can't remember the name of it, but it was like nothing I'd ever seen before. And I was told by the people that it was extremely easy to keep alive. I got home, and I know it, isn't it? I got home, and to be fair, I'm going to expose my housemate's mum, who was there, and she told me that it looked like it needed a water. So I watered it, and immediately, like, if you can imagine, it had like long stems. Immediately they just went flaccid and like fell to the side, and I was like, oh my God. And then I was like with a hairdryer trying to like dry out the soil a bit, like
the hairdryer.
yeah, I could literally put it by radiators.
Was the clear liquid vodka or white spirit?
Yeah, what was
No,
it?
it was water. And then someone told me to put it in like the shower, so I took it to the shower with me, and honestly I've never seen, within a day, this is the fucking record for me, I killed a beautiful 20-pound plant in a day.
No.
Like that is the
so
worst that I've done.
sad.
I know. So
Oh my God.
I really take my hat off to anyone who can keep one alive.
We've killed cactuses before.
Yeah,
no.
I've done that.
Oh, there's no
Don't
excuse for
apparently
that.
don't.
They don't.
Because they don't need water.
Kill it.
God, they shrivel. I've had cactuses cacti shrivel on me. Yeah. You do not want a shrivel.
You don't want to shrivel her.
So yeah, very impressed.
Yeah, I mean, you know, John used to take the piss out of me because I'd go around the house and be like,
Such
I
a
love
plant
you,
mum.
you're doing great. I love you, you're doing great. Here's a little
It's the
spritz.
affirmations.
That
That's
it
what
works.
keeps me alive.
I'm telling you,
Oh
it
my
works.
God, I
That
love
and
that.
water.
Yeah. That's all they
Watering
need.
from the bottom up.
How do you do that?
You get like a mushroom dish or a plant pot and you pour it into the mushroom dish or the plant pot, and then
Right.
you let them drink it upwards, like with their roots instead of on top, like through the top.
Wow. There we go. That's where I've been going wrong.
That's the secret,
That's
everyone.
the secret.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, great. Good to know.
Oh, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, I'm gonna pop into Sainsbury's after this. Right. A time in your life where you felt like you really had your shit together.
Oof. Can I say when I was a child?
Yeah, absolutely.
I got signed by Polydor, by Universal.
What
and
age?
I was just turned 16.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, yep, I'm going to take over the world. Surely
Yeah.
this is it. Like, watch out. Oh boy. Oh boy, was I wrong.
Oh my God, that's wild though.
Yeah, it was really a really crazy time. It all
Yeah.
happened so quickly. I was 15 when I met my first manager, and we created a little like acoustic music video for one of my little songs.
Little song.
I know, my little songs, and I was wearing my little jumper with my little bob. I was literally a child. And we were just like, yep, this might take 5-10 years. Like, it's fine. Let's just put this out and see what happens. And she started to send it to music industry people, and they all started to like get back, like Sony, like all the big cats, crazy. And next thing I know, I was flying back and forth to London. This is when I was still living full time in Ireland, which is where my family are, obviously, because I was still a child, still in school. And I was starting to get all these record deals offered to me.
Oh my God.
And there was like bidding wars. There was so much buzz around me.
Wow.
It was really crazy. And I finally went with Polydor.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was like, damn, this is it. I've got my shit together now.
How did you find that at the time of like going to all of those big meetings with, I imagine, very intimidating people? And
honestly, it's such a bittersweetness. I get kind of sad because when I think back, to my younger self going through all of that. I was just like, I just wanted to play my little songs, you know. I was just like playing them to anyone that would listen. I didn't understand
the business aspect
the
of it,
business or like what was awaiting me. I didn't understand like what would be expected of me. I just thought that I would get to play my songs more to like more people.
Yeah.
Also looking back, like having had a lot of time to reflect, it was scary as fuck.
Yeah.
Like really scary. And I met so many people that would, you know, blow smoke up my ass and say, you're going to be great, you're amazing. And like, call me their friend and stuff like that. And I learned very quickly that's like not the way that it works in this kind of game. It's very cutthroat.
It is, yeah.
But yeah, it's such a bittersweetness when I think back.
Oh my God, isn't that so funny? I can relate a little bit because coming out of drama school is when you kind of meet with agents and stuff like that when they're looking to represent you. And I mean, I was 22 at that point.
Yeah.
And even then, like, kind of, just being so bright-eyed and bushy-tailed with it all, and like having the innocence of just wanting to do the thing that you love. And it's kind of that thing that we were talking about just before we started recording, actually, which was monetizing, or, you know, having to make into your profession the thing that you just do for love and escape.
And this is it as well. Like, I had only just learned how to play the guitar. Like, I learned on YouTube.
Fucking prodigy.
I was just so good. No, I'd been like playing on my guitar for like, I don't know, I must have been 12. So about 3 years. And I had started writing these little songs. And so I was just like, this is all I want to do. And then it just snowballed into something I would never have expected. Just again, like, I thought people were seeing me for me and like the potential of me and my songs, and not like, okay, so how are we going to brand this child? And like, we, you know, just like sitting down in a room. I spent so much time in the studio with so many producers throughout my year with Polydor. And it was all like, you know, we need to create songs for radio. Like, this is nice, but this is what we need. You know, it was just trying to like
mold you into something else.
Pigeonhole me and mold me. And it was like, we want you to be like a Norah Jones, but like Adele. I was like, what? Oh, the hell? I don't even know how to be me. Like, I'm 16.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy.
How was that being female as well in that space, like, and a young female at that? Like, did you feel like you were able to assert yourself, or is that something
No, I didn't. Unfortunately, it was very intimidating. And I didn't realize until after my experience just how intimidating and just how, like, I don't know, small things, like, so I had so many ideas and so many of them were just like belittled, or like, you know, they just weren't good enough. And all the guys that I worked with, because it was mainly just men, older men, like 20, 30, 40 years older than me, which weird. It was just them asserting their dominance and just like no feminine energy in anything I would do. So it was just, it was really, really hard. And like also so weird and hard to try and relate to an older guy about my experiences and then write songs with them, you know? Yeah. It was like, hey, so nice to meet you. Let's, what have you been through recently? I'm just like, what? Yeah. My little dad would just like come along with me to some of the sessions, and bless them, like my parents were so protective, but like they've always encouraged me to go after my dreams no matter what. So they would never ever try and get in the way of anything. But I remember just my mum being like, why? Like, this isn't okay. Like, just maybe wait until you're a bit older. Like, you're going to work with all these men. And my dad obviously felt the same. But yeah, I had some weird experiences, you know, unfortunately, but I'm just glad to be out of that now.
Definitely. I can imagine as well, like, I speak for myself in this situation, but I am such a people pleaser. Yes. So trying to achieve something that you've dreamt of for such a long time, and wanting to stay true to that dream, and when it feels like it's within your grasp, but then you have people talking down to you about like what you need to do and like the things that you need to change and stuff like that, even though you want to stay true to your belief and your dream, but also you want to please these people, and that takes such a strength of knowing yourself. And at that age, it's like, fucking hell, I'm still on that journey. Like, I can't imagine trying to do that at that age.
It was really crazy. It was, I still definitely have whiplash from everything. I'm still coming back to myself because it got like really bad. I got really sick, like mentally and physically, and I ended up getting dropped, and I ended up dropping out of school, and I ended up going to hospital. So it was just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Who am I? Like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? But also, I believe it was very important for me to go through all of that because now I feel like I've found my voice within my songwriting and in my music, and I feel confident in making the music that feels authentic to me.
Yeah.
So it took a lot of no's and like wrong turns to, I don't know, find this right path that I'm on.
Yeah, definitely. I'm really sorry that you had to experience that.
Oh, you know.
Yeah. I think though, like sometimes those experiences can be empowering in a sense because you can see it for what it is, and like the shininess gets dulled, but sometimes that can be useful because I don't know, you're more equipped for it for the second time round, or
yeah, you definitely do. You learn how to navigate through all of that bullshit a bit more. Still very hard,
of course,
and I'm still sometimes when I go through similar things, I'm like, what the fuck, I'm a kid again. But you pick up the tools and of like, you know, you learn how to come back to yourself.
Yeah. Well, in opposition to that, a time in your life where you felt like you didn't have your shit together.
Oh God, there have been many, many times. Shit. I think I have to go back to lockdown again. I mean, there were for sure times before that. Like when I got dropped from Polydor, like definitely. In ways, I feel like that time period in lockdown was kind of worse, even though that sounds crazy, because at least when all that stuff happened when I was younger, I had the reasons and it made sense as to why I was feeling the way I was. But in lockdown, it just was like out of the blue, just like, who the fuck am I? Like complete identity crisis. And that like almost hit harder because I'd like, you know, I'd progressed through in my career. And like I seemingly knew who I was and like had released an album and everything. But it was just like, I have no fucking idea how to write a song. I don't know what I'm doing. I really, really don't have my shit together. Yeah. And I literally, I'd had to run home to my parents and like my horses and my dogs and just like,
get back to yourself
exactly.
and where you'd come from and the things that inspired you.
Exactly, yeah.
And so you said that you'd released an album already at that point.
Yes.
So do you think there was like a pressure to follow that up as well? It's like second album syndrome and
yeah,
stuff.
Yeah, there was a pressure to follow it up, but also
have grown and
evolve. And there was a pressure. I put so much pressure on myself to create music that was outside of my comfort zone without taking a healthy stepping stone towards that. You know, I was like, I need to make pop music now. Like, this is it. Yeah. Nobody wants to hear my sad acoustic songs. But I just, there was so much pressure to show evolution. And even though it was all false, like this false sense of growth. And even like with the stuff I was posting online, like I was creating this facade, this like persona that I actually wasn't. And that was making me even more miserable because I was seeing like people around me who, you know, it works for them and who felt confident in that. And I was like, please, like, come on, please let me have that. Let me channel that. Yeah. And it just made me so miserable and depressed. It was it was crazy. It was like wearing a really ill-fitting corset every single day, you know?
Yeah. Comparison is just the death, isn't it?
Oh my God. Yeah.
I think part of like growing up now and is that peace with yourself,
exactly,
and
that
knowing
acceptance.
that you're enough, isn't it? And like staying authentic and just knowing that the things that you're making, like you're making it for you,
exactly.
And if you like it, there's going to be other people out there who want to listen to it.
Yeah,
like
exactly. Definitely. I completely agree.
Yeah. 3 things that make you feel like shit.
Oh God. Yikes. Instagram, for sure.
What is it about Instagram?
Oh, again, that whole comparison thing, that false, just again, it's the facade that I just hate it. I hate it so much. I wish I was at a point in my career where somebody could just do all that shit for me. So definitely Instagram, everything social media. I just absolutely does. Well, not always, because sometimes, you know, you'll get a message from a fan and it's really touching and it reminds you why you do what you do.
Exactly, yeah.
So not entirely, but you know, that whole negative side of
Yeah, and like the doom scrolling.
the scroll hole.
Oh my God, such a scroll hole. I do it so much. Like even before I go to bed, like I just end up on this.
First thing in the morning as well.
Why? And immediately, like, great, I feel shit about myself. Right,
Gonna go back to bed
off
now.
we go. Yeah, it's like, it's ridiculous. It's so awful.
It really is.
And I think with careers like ours, it feels like it's a necessity, and that, you know, in order to kind of create some profile or even like networking, like I've had so many opportunities come through Instagram.
Yeah,
that it would
so
feel
true.
like I'd be cutting myself off from, like even us two, for example, like we messaged on Instagram
Honestly,
about arranging this before.
No, it's so true. And I've had so many amazing opportunities come through Instagram. Like it's an incredible platform for networking. Like it really is. And I can't take that away from it. As well, I've found with the algorithm, it's like it's got a dark side as well, where I find that when I'm feeling really like sad, all this like triggering shit will show up on my newsfeed. And I don't know if it's me just paying more attention to it, but it definitely feels like...
It's funny, isn't it? It's like it can read our souls.
Oh
now.
my God, yeah. Like I'll get an advert for like BetterHelp therapy and like, please God.
When did they install the chip into my mind?
Yeah, so definitely social media is one of them. If I go too long without going home, it makes me feel like shit.
Homesick.
Because I am a home bird.
Yeah.
I have my little dog at home and my horse.
Yeah.
And
How
my
long have you
parents.
lived away from home now?
I started leaving home once the whole Polydor shit kicked off.
Did you feel the pressure that you needed to be in London?
Oh yeah,
in the
because I
scene?
was in rural Ireland.
Wow.
So there was nothing that would, you know, help my career there other than inspiration and writing. But yeah, so I officially moved to London in 2017 when I moved in with John.
And what age was that?
I was 20.
Wow.
20. I was a little baby.
Yeah.
And I've noticed over the past couple of years, I've just been so much more busier. And I've also, so my grandparents live with me my whole life. And the reason we moved to Ireland was because my granddad, when my dad built our house, he was born on that plot of land. Like, it's really sweet. So we wanted to take my grandparents home, essentially.
Oh.
But both of them passed away. My nanny in 2020 and my granddad just last October.
Yeah.
So I've also found going home is like really difficult for me because my dad built this massive house like full of rooms that used to be filled with like my sisters and my life, and now it's just kind of empty and I lost a family dog as well. So I'm just
my God, that hits so hard, doesn't it?
Oh my God, he was 17, little Murphy. He was such a miserable little shit, but like I loved him.
Yeah.
It really does. It's like that's a fact. It's losing a family.
It's grief.
My parents brought me and my sisters up to like, it sounds weird, but like, you know, we were like, the dogs are basically your brothers, you know, they're family, they are family, they sleep inside, like they're going to be, like they're there always. And when we lost my first dog, Lenny, which was a black Labrador, I just remember my mum, the grief. Oh my God, my dad, bless him, when he was a kid, he had a little dachshund called Penny. And she died. And she was his best friend. And he refused to get close to any of our pets. I mean, he's been affectionate. And he loves
Become
them.
avoidant with the animals.
But he was like, I can't love an animal that much again. It's just too much. But then my sister a few years ago got a golden Labrador named Oscar, and he is just head over heels.
They wriggle their way into your heart.
Oh, they really do. They really do. But yeah.
So home and how was it coming from rural Ireland to somewhere quite the opposite in London?
Oh God.
I mean, to be fair, where you and John were first living, it was very rural London.
It was very rural. It was basically Cornwall, you know. Well, I'd grown up in Hampshire. Like, I moved to Ireland when I was 10, so I had like. We always lived in the countryside. Like I always had that freedom of like going to the forest when I was a kid, and like we always had ponies as well. But we also like we were just on the edge of the city as well, like in Portsmouth. So it wasn't too much of a crazy difference for me, but I took like the whole train system here took me a long time to get used to. I was really scared. Yeah, I was so scared.
Tubes.
Oh, the fucking
I've heard
tubes.
stories of people crying in the tube. Like,
those stories about me.
Oh, it's you.
It's me. No, like it took me a long time, and I still will definitely get.
It's overwhelming.
Very scared on the tube. Yeah.
I find I have a similar sensation about like going home, and I more recently actually, like I go through waves of loving living in London and then finding it quite difficult, and I think more recently I'm finding that kind of what's it called, like toxic productivity thing in London. I don't really get it at home. It's always been a London thing, like an inability to rest and like an inability to have a day off. And if you know, if I was going home to be with my parents, I'd have no qualms about on a Saturday just like allowing myself to sit on the sofa and just recharge. Whereas in London at a weekend, or any day, I'm just like, I need to be achieving something. Everyone's out there achieving. I need to fulfill my dreams. And I just find that so like anxiety provoking.
It's
just
paralyzing.
Yeah.
And I've been struggling with that so much as well because of the nature of my job, my career.
Yeah.
Like, it comes in waves of productivity. Like you're either really busy, you're on tour, you're in the studio, you're recording, or it's nothing.
Yeah.
And it's those periods of nothing and stillness where I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
Everybody's working, everybody has a job. I'm just sitting here. I'm like a slob. What the fuck am I doing? I have since started like volunteering at a charity shop. So that's kind of
makes
helped.
a difference, doesn't it?
Makes so much of a difference. Even
just to have like a structure and a purpose.
Just purpose, because it is that feeling, that toxic productivity and the pressure to like even make it seem like you're doing something to others. And I get so insecure when people ask me, like, so what are you doing? Like, what do you do with your time? And I'm like, just don't. Just don't.
That's actually a really rude question. Why am I asking that? No, I'm the same. And I get really paranoid that I'm boring and that I have nothing to say.
Oh, shit, same.
Yeah.
It's pretty...
No, it's wild. I really think there's something about feeling like you're contributing in whatever way. Yeah. I have the biggest... I actually was like, I couldn't sleep last night and I ended up like journaling. And the main thing that I was feeling was just like, ennui. Do you know that word? Like,
no.
It's like a French word and it's basically like a listlessness.
Wow.
It's like, I don't think they have like a similar word in English. Listlessness. I don't know. Google it because it's a better analogy. But that feeling of just like you're not contributing and it's like, who am I? And all of those things.
Yeah,
like I
time
really
is
have
ticking.
those. Yeah.
I get that for sure. Like, I guess how hard I can be on myself. Like, it just takes the smallest thing to like trigger me and set me off. And then, oh my God, it's crazy how easily, like, I don't know how you feel, but how quickly you are to just agree with your inner critic. You're like, yep, you are a piece of shit.
Yeah.
It's just, that's something that really gets to me. And as I'm growing older, I'm becoming more like self-aware and I'm able to like, you know, pinpoint that voice and that feeling. And I can kind of tell the difference between what is real and what isn't when I'm feeling that way. But it's been something I've struggled with. Everyone struggles with it, you know, like insecurities, but...
What do you think that is? Do you think it's like a perfectionism?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I think it's like kind of an OCD thing as well. Like,
right.
I used to have a really bad eating disorder and although I've come through that, like it's something that will always linger, I feel.
There's a Brené Brown podcast that I listened to where she was talking about perfectionism.
Yeah.
And where perfectionism drives us, shame is there.
Yeah.
Perfectionism is a function of shame. The opposite of perfectionism is healthy striving or striving for excellence. Yeah, it just really resonated with me. But because I have that same thing, and like even around like the eating disorder and stuff like that, what it sounds like to me is trying to control when you feel like you have a lack of control.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what perfectionism is as well. Like you feel so out of control with so many things. So rather than accepting what is and is not within your control, you're like zooming in on the minutiae. And,
no, exactly.
Yeah.
And it takes away from things that should be enjoyable, you know, like that gig I did last weekend. There were moments of the gig where I was able to just be present and like I really enjoyed myself. But then there are other moments where I'm just like so hyper-focused on how I'm being perceived, how I'm looking, how I'm sounding. And it's just like in my head, I'm just like, oh, you're doing so wrong. You sound like shit. Like stop. Like even throughout the first song, I had to pull away from the mic a few times because I was just overwhelmed with this feeling of like that inner critic just being like, you need to maybe just get off the stage. So that makes me feel like shit. It really does. And I have gotten better thanks to therapy. It's sponsored by therapy.
I think all of these episodes are, to be fair. But yeah, no, I definitely have that. It's like that self-sabotaging thing. And just being so hard on ourselves.
Completely. And if my friends came to me and were saying this stuff, I'd be like, what are you talking about? Like, stop. But it does. It just, I hate the power and the ability it has to like just suck the good out. Or just the good out of like times where I should have felt proud of myself or like I've achieved something, you know. There are parts of being a perfectionist that I think are kind of good.
Yeah.
It means I will always want to practice and like, you know, I'll always want to do my absolute best.
Yeah.
But unfortunately it is overshadowed by that like fuck you voice.
Yeah.
Such a toxic little shit.
Yes. Self-saboteur.
Hey, while I've got you, if you like what you're listening to, do us a favour and share us a little love. Follow or subscribe to us wherever you listen to your podcasts. You can leave a review and share far and wide to spread the word. You can also find us on social media. Thanks.
In opposition to that then, 3 things that make you feel like the shit.
Ooh, okay. Okay, so it's kind of contradicting what I just had said about the gigs, but sometimes after a gig that I've really enjoyed, the moment where I unplug my guitar and I walk off the stage. I did a gig at the Barbican a few years back. I was opening for a band called the Milk Carton Kids, and they're like quite a big American band. And I was fucking dreading this gig because it's like 2,800 people, biggest gig I've ever done. And I was like, no, for sure, I'm gonna like fucking ruin this. I'm gonna pass out on that stage. I had just really gotten in my head about it, but the gig went really well, and just that feeling of the last song, the last note, and then finishing and unplugging my guitar and walking off the stage, that made me feel like the shit. I was like, yeah, I've got my shit together.
That's the shit, isn't it? And that's why we fucking do it.
Right.
And it's so like everything that we've just been talking about is like, I'm terrible. I write a song and think I'm fucking shit. You could almost be like, then why you put yourself through it?
I know,
But that's the fucking moment. Yeah. When you're like, fucking nailed that. No,
absolutely.
It's wild, isn't it?
It was a great feeling.
Yeah, but it's funny that like before the podcast started, you were saying that you're quite like introverted and you're quite shy and stuff like that, and yet you are able to do that.
Yeah. Oh God, I don't understand. Like, it is wild to me because like logically, when I think about it, like, so I was really badly bullied in school. Like, I am naturally scared of everyone.
Right.
Like, it's just. I guess it's just been made to be part of my design. You know, so getting on stage is something when I think about it, when I like take myself out of the situation, I'm like, what the fuck? No way am I going to get on a stage in front of all these people to look at me. But I still like turn up and do it. It's just wild. It's crazy.
But it's I guess it's the art that's making you do it.
Yeah.
And it's the opportunity that you get to perform the thing that you love doing. And
no, for sure.
Do you feel present when you're doing it? Like when you're on stage?
So I mainly do feel present.
Yeah.
Although sometimes the feelings of, you know, being hyper focused and everything, it can feel a lot larger than that. But there are times when I'm just like swimming in my songs and it's just like the best feeling. I can't even, it's like having an out of body experience without sounding pretentious. It really does feel like that. It feels like there's no one, everything just like shuts off and stops for a second. It like stops time. It really does. It's an incredible feeling, and honestly it's like swimming in a sound. It's the best feeling.
Well, it doesn't surprise me because your album and your songs are so like ethereal and so dreamy. I can imagine just like I'm yet to see you. I need to come see you, but I can imagine that would be the sensation in the room as well, that it would be quite captivating.
I'd like to think so, maybe. Another thing that makes me feel like the shit is when I'm spending time with horses.
Okay.
Because I feel like horses are quite intimidating creatures. No, they could kill you in a second if they wanted to.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I feel like I can, not that I'm like Monty Roberts horse whisperer or anything, but I feel like I can earn their respect because I kind of know a way to be around them, and it just makes me feel like really connected and like, yeah, damn, that's kind of cool that I can do that.
Yeah.
Not with every horse. I did have a horse last year that tried to kill me, broke all my ribs. So
oh my God.
It's hit and miss, but most of my interactions with horses have been very like sacred to me. My horse Digger, bless him, he's retired now.
Digger.
I know.
That's such a good name.
He's so, oh God. He's an ex-race horse. And I got him when I was 12 and he fucking hated me.
Yeah.
He taught me how to ride. Really, he's my heart horse, I believe.
Oh.
And he taught me how to like believe in myself and how to like be confident in myself through trying to kill me. You know, but it was important. And like horses want a leader. They don't want the responsibility and the pressure of having to lead and to guide.
Yeah. Animals are intelligent as well.
Yeah.
I imagine that they can probably sense if you're nervous of them, and
definitely.
they pick up on that energy. So,
Oh yeah.
to ride a horse, you probably have to assert yourself a bit, and
you
that's
do.
got to be good for someone who struggles with asserting themselves.
No, it's like the one place where I actually do feel confident and like I can assert myself, and I listen to myself. It's very it's really an incredible feeling. But yeah, as I grew with Digger, like I went through a long period of time without riding him and stuff. But he's the kind of horse where like thoroughbreds, he's a thoroughbred. They get so much shit for being flighty and like, you know, hot horses, which they can be. But Digger's the kind of horse that I could go away for like a year and come back and just throw the saddle on him and ride him, and he'd be like, right, okay.
Yeah.
But when I was younger and I rode him a lot more, oh my God, like he would take the absolute piss out of me. If I was scared, because I remember my mum and dad would take me on hacks. They'd like come with me, they'd walk with me, and I was like, right, do you know what? I think I was like 12. I was like, I'm going to do this by myself. I think just me and Digger, I can do it. And the first time Digger was actually the first hack I went on with him, he was so good. He made me feel so comfortable. He listened to me. And then that's when he started to challenge me. It was like, if you're nervous, we're going home. And he would turn around and march home. And there was nothing I could do about it because he's a half-ton animal and I was like a small child. But he did. He taught me how to like be more assertive within myself and to like communicate with him. And yeah, it makes me feel really good being around horses.
God, animals as well though, just in general.
Oh, I love them. I love them.
They're the purest souls.
They really are. It's like my housemate's dog, Seamus. You need to come meet him. He's just the sweetest. He's so emotionally intelligent. I feel like I'm cheating on my dog Hemingway. Sorry, Hemingway, if you're listening. But Seamus will do this thing where like, if you start to cry, if he senses you're emotional, he will instantly get up, come over to you, start like sniffing your eyes, licking them and like comforting you. He will like lean his body into you. He's like an actual therapy dog. Like it's insane. I love animals. Yeah. I've always loved them. Wow. Specifically horses.
Wow.
I love, this might be quite shallow considering all my others have been like home and horses. I love it when I find something great in a charity shop.
Okay.
Like I think I get it from my mum, but I have such a good success rate on finding the best things in charity shops or just like secondhand shops.
Yeah.
And that makes me feel like, I don't know, good about myself.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Because it's like, as well, it's...
You have to put in effort. It's work.
You do. It's fucking, it takes hours trudging through the shit that, you know,
and specifically charity shops as well, because you can go to like thrift stores and stuff where it's a bit more curated.
Yeah.
Whereas like a charity shop, it's a free-for-all.
Yeah.
You're trying to find that one diamond in the rough.
It's good. It teaches you patience and resilience, you know. It's, but yeah, that makes me... And it also, because I love... most of my clothes are secondhand, and I've really, really tried to make a conscious effort to only shop secondhand. There are some things, of course, that, you know, you can't get secondhand. But I try and go for a sustainable brand, or like even my merch, it's all like sustainably sourced materials and stuff. But yeah, it makes me feel good that I'm like kind of contributing in a good way, but also going home with like a really good bargain.
What's the last thing that you got? Do you remember?
Oh, there's a couple things. I got a Gucci necklace.
Oh my God.
30 quid.
Oh my
in
God.
a charity shop.
Tell you what, charity shops in London have some good shit in them.
Oh, they fucking do.
But what I noticed when I first came, because like charity shops in Oldham and stuff would be like 99p. Like everyone was like 99p.
Oh God, not
London charity shops have clocked on, I think. Specifically depending on which area you go to, but they've started to clock on that. I mean, and as well they should.
Yeah, no, they
for
should.
the charity. But like, but yeah, they have clocked onto it a bit more, so it can be a bit more expensive. But the fact that you got that for so cheap is
my
like...
God, I was so happy. I was in some... I find some charity shops as well can be a little bit like pretentious or like, you know... I get it when it's like, especially in a place like Islington, like they want to, you know, it's going to be good quality clothes and it's... But then I did find this... It's my favourite charity shop and it's a secret. I've been keeping it a secret, but
You can tell me after.
I will. But everything is like £2 to £15.
Wow.
And I bought this gorgeous like German trench coat the other day for £8.
Wow.
And it was so beautiful.
Yeah. We've got a trade near me
Oh, Trader's great.
They're really good. And like, I don't know how they do it, but they'll have like Converse for like 99p. They'll just like,
oh my God, yeah.
they'll do like a sale day where like all their shoes are like £1 or something.
Amazing. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it's cool. Like they always have dead quirky like shop window things, because I think they get like fashion schools to like design them.
the mannequins.
Cool. Yeah, God, love that. Something that makes you lose your shit in a positive and a negative way.
Ooh. I don't know, if something really good happens for someone I care about, I get so excited. Like, I was telling you about my boyfriend being in Rockfield, and I was just so excited, and he was playing his demos to me the other day in my house, and I was just like, he had these, his friend recorded strings for the songs, and he was playing them, and I was just like getting ready in my room, and I came in, I was almost like in tears, because I was like, this is fucking amazing. Like, you should be so proud. Like, I really got so excited. I'm still so excited and just... Yeah, so that makes me lose my shit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, really buzzing for someone that I care about, and like things are going well for them. That makes me really, really happy.
Yeah. That's so nice, because like not everyone can say that, you know. I think sometimes you can, it's that self-comparison thing as well, isn't it? Where you can be like, oh, but I kind of want that thing as well. But it's like amazing to be able to just be purely happy for someone.
I mean, it's taken me a long time to get to that place, because there has been times when I've been like, fuck you, this should be my win. That should be me. But no, I've learned that it's better to, I mean, I'm human. I have an ego. You know, sometimes I get insecure and I feel threatened, but I'm learning to stay humble and, you know, I want to be grounded, and I want to be able to express my joy for those that I care about who are succeeding. Like, of course I do, of course. And something that makes me lose my shit in a negative way, when people are mean to animals. Yeah. Especially pigeons in London. I love them. Oh, I've got such a soft spot for them. And like, I honestly will go to town. If I see someone picking on a pigeon, they better watch out.
What have you seen? What kind of pigeon picking on have you seen? Oh my God,
I've seen rogue kids, parents just letting their kids off their leash. And these kids,
they should be leashed.
They
absolutely.
should be. No, just like kids chasing and trying to kick the pigeons, and like, it's just, leave them alone. Like, pigeons are smart, and we were the ones that domesticated them, and they've contributed so much to our society and have helped us so much, like scientifically and just like in history. They were important, like with delivering messages and shit like that. So I have such fond memories of when I was a child, and my nanny and granddad, they lived next door to us when we lived in England. And my granddad like had this beautiful garden that he planted all these roses in for my nanny, and she would sit on her little sun chair in the garden, and we'd watch the pigeons racing. She'd always point them out to me. So she loved pigeons, I love pigeons, so stay away from them.
I had a great fact about pigeons recently that so this is what I often do with facts, is I'll misremember the exact detail of the fact, and the science behind the fact won't be right, but the essence of the fact is. So I heard something about pigeons similar to this. Humans have, let's say, 3 visual receptors in their eyes to be able to see colour, okay? Pigeons apparently have, like, this is completely incorrect, 500, something like that.
500?
Could be more, could be less.
Wow.
But so, to the naked human eye, a pigeon looks grey, maybe with a fleck of purple and a fleck of green. A pigeon to a pigeon,
whoa, holy
is
fuck.
like
no wonder they're dancing to each other all the time.
A glorious like rainbow of colours, and it must be the most beautiful thing anyone can see, but we can't see it and appreciate it.
Maybe I can, and that's why I love them so much.
You've got pigeon eyes.
They are illuminating. I was brought up just like my nanny. Again, I always talk about my nanny because she was just this
big influence in
my life. She was like such a mothering figure. I mean, I have my mum obviously, but it was just very matriarchal growing up. Just the essence of my nanny Rose was just, you know, that it was just so pure and rubbed off on all of us. But she loved animals so much. She would always say, even when she had dementia, she would say, most animals are better than people. And I agree. Yeah. You know, they really are. And she would always tell me stories of when she was a child. She didn't know her mum. She grew up in a convent, which was horrible in Dublin. Yeah. And then she lived with this old lady who had an old black and white cat. And when it was raining, she would sneak the cat into her room and hide it under her covers.
Oh.
And Mrs. Kyo was her name. She would come in and she'd be like, you better not have that fucking cat in that in those covers. And she'd be like, no, I don't. And then Mrs. Kyo would come in when she was sleeping and she'd hear the cat purring. And so she'd like give my nanny a wallop and take the cat and throw it out.
Oh, no.
She always loved animals. And she had dementia. And my horse used to live in the fields around my house. And one day I brought him up to the fence to say hello to her. And she was like, that's a lovely big dog you've got there.
A moment that you found some shit out about yourself.
I have 2 examples. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Because one ties in with my music and one is just like So the first one is the first gig I did in Union Chapel years ago. I was opening for my friend Ben Leftwich, and the tour had been so bad. I was like suffering with panic attacks every single day. I was in such a bad place mentally. And I remember it got to Union Chapel and I was like, I can't do this gig. I cannot do it. Physically, mentally, spiritually, I'm unable to do this gig. But I couldn't pull out because I couldn't let my friend Ben down. And yeah, I couldn't do that. So it was so hard. The moments before I like walked on the stage, I just remember I was like, oh my God, this is one of the hardest things I've ever done. But I did it. I got through it and I got off the stage and, I got through it.
And what do you think was the thing that got you through it? Like,
I just listened to that little tiny voice that you sometimes get when you're at your worst and it's like, you can do this, like you've got this, you can do this. And it's such an endearing thing when that comes from yourself. It's like such a beautiful form of self-care when it's just like you are. And usually, because for me, I'm usually so hard on myself, I very rarely hear that voice. But in this occasion, like in times like that, it was just like, no, you can do this. Come on. Like you can do this. You're going to be okay. Just be kind to yourself. And I think another time was when I had my little mental episode when I was 18 and I went to hospital because I had a very, very bad evening. I I had like a full on mental breakdown. And I thought it was the end for me. I honestly thought I could never recover from something like that. And I was only in the hospital. I was in the hospital for only like a week. So not even that long, but I was just, the whole time it felt like an out-of-body experience. I couldn't believe that the things that had happened. And I was there and I was just like, yeah, this is it now. Like, this is my life. These things that terrify me are now defining me. And this is it. This is proof. But it was totally like, without sounding cheesy, instead of it being a breakdown, it was more of a breakthrough.
Wow.
And I came out of it feeling so much closer to myself, and just getting through that period was a real test of my strength, and it's made me so much stronger. And yeah, I think the resilience I showed through that. And my family obviously was so supportive. They've always been so supportive. I've always had issues with my mental health, like depression and PTSD and everything like that. And they've always showed up, but also I've always managed to like reach in and take my own hand and guide myself through these things. And especially that, it was like really, really hard. And I still managed to, I don't know, come back to myself. And
but that is that old adage, I don't know if that's a word, but like of sometimes you really have to reach rock bottom to be able to come back from it.
Exactly.
And show up for yourself. And exactly what you said, like the resilience that in those moments when you're so low and you feel like you can't achieve anything, and actually just getting up every day and is strength and proof that you're strong. And
no, exactly. And it's made me more aware of those little wins that you have in the day when you do feel like you can't get out of bed, and when you feel like you can't eat anything, but you do it anyway. You make yourself a slice of toast, or you get out of bed, even if it's just for a couple of hours. You can at least say like, I did that for myself. Like I'm still wanting to survive.
For sure.
So that was that. And then the last one was that time I had the accident on my horse. Oh, he wasn't my horse. I was loaning him. He was a French draft horse named Hendrix, and he's a big stocky guy, very young, very insecure. He was about 6 years old.
I think I know a few of them.
Yeah.
Why are you looking at me?
You're just representing the men in the room, I think.
You're the majority right now. No, but he was very unsure of himself, and very stupidly I wanted to have jumping lessons with him because I thought, why not?
Yeah.
Like, but he is not the kind of horse that can prance over poles. Like he is such a clumsy little thing. Very, very sweet, such golden Labrador energy, but also demonic.
Yeah.
So I was doing this lesson, and horses are very, very smart, and they can be very insecure. And Hendrix was very insecure, and he didn't like it when he messed up. He would be very hard on himself, and then it would throw him for the rest of the lesson. And he had made a couple of mistakes in this one specific lesson. And I could feel him. I could feel his body language. He was getting more and more tense. He was getting more and more frustrated. And he was just like, and I was fucking up as well. So he was pissed off at me because I was the one giving the instructions. I was the one like telling him what he should be doing. And we were both just like a bit all over the place. And then there was a moment where I asked him to do one thing. I had one command and he fucked it up. And he just was like, no, fuck you. We're done here.
Wow.
And he took off in the arena and he galloped towards the arena gate, and with all his might, he tried so hard to jump over that gate, but just crashed through it because of the weight of it.
Oh, God.
And like kicked me in the head, and I broke my ribs and sprained my neck. But the moment after it happened, when I was like lying on the floor, like, what the fuck? How am I here? And why have I got a mouthful of sand?
Yeah.
I got back on him straight
It's
away.
literally what they say, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's the
Get
thing,
back
you
on the
can't.
horse, because
Oh,
otherwise
gosh.
you'd just be traumatized.
I was, but I
Yeah.
was full of adrenaline, so I didn't
Yeah.
realise I had broken ribs. I didn't realise
Shit.
that my neck was like fucked.
Oh my God.
And so I was just like, Hendrix, come here.
Oh my God.
I got back on him, and
Yeah.
I tried to, my poor instructor, she was like shitting herself.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? He almost died. But yeah, no, I got back on, and I corrected him, and I tried to continue with the lesson, and he tried to do it again. And then that's when my ribs started to hurt, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, maybe I should go to the hospital.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was like resilience. It was, because that is scary. But I forgave him almost immediately because like I understood my own mistakes, and he was also just being a prick too. But yeah, no, it didn't stop me from not getting back on.
Oh God, wow, that would absolutely terrify me.
I mean, it definitely took me a while to like get over it. Like getting even on Digger,
Yeah.
getting back on Digger, I was like, please, Digger, please. I know I can be a pain in the ass, but please don't do that. Digger never did anything like that with me. But yeah, it was I was proud of myself.
Yeah, should be. Shittest piece of advice you've received?
Just be happy. Just like when I've been so depressed. Oh, but you've got so many things going for you. Like you should just smile. Like that kind of advice. I'm just like, okay,
Yeah.
please go and choke on some concrete.
Yeah.
I can't deal with that. Or when it comes to doing gigs and people are like, just pretend everyone's naked. You know, it's like, in what world? When does that work? That's even worse.
No, I know. Yeah, completely. A room full of naked people is quite startling. Actually, I don't think it's like
A select few. That's the please. Put your clothes on.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, that advice is shit. I don't know who came up. Whoever came up with that, fuck you.
yeah,
Silly Billy.
yeah.
But I feel pretty blessed to have wise people around me in my life who do give me good advice.
Yeah.
But there are sometimes I come across a few people and they're just like, I've got all the answers for your problems.
Yeah, and it's
Listen to
reductive,
me.
isn't it? Because I think as well, when people are dealing with someone who's like depressed or unhappy or something like that, the tendency I think within human nature is to fix it. I want to fix it.
Of course.
And actually, sometimes you can't fix it, and you just need to sit and listen. And that tendency can get frustrating because you're like, well, just be happy. You've got so much going for you. I don't understand why you're not happy. And it's like, it's so reductive.
I know.
to receive.
I don't understand.
Yeah,
It's
because you're like,
more
I know I should be
isolating.
happy, and I'm not, and that's why I'm not because I feel really bad about it.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, people mean well, but
Yeah.
sometimes people should just maybe
quiet and think. Shit you wish you'd known sooner.
that even though I try so hard to see the best in everyone, and in a lot of situations, some people are just crappy and are opportunistic and, you know, Doesn't matter how much you bend your back for them, it won't be good enough.
Yeah.
And I wish I'd known that sooner.
Do you think you feel that mostly in like a career sense?
I think so, yeah. I think so, definitely. I feel like I was prodded and poked so much. And again, coming back to the people pleaser thing, I trusted people so easily when I was a kid, even though, it wasn't really in my nature to trust, but because it was my dream dangling on a stick in front of me, I was like, yes, surely they believe in me.
Yeah.
They want the best for me. I was very naive and easily manipulated. And
Also, it's that like, there's like a white coat thing, isn't there, of like trusting people in positions of power.
Yeah, oh my
and
God, of course.
automatically just thinking that they know best and
of course.
handing over that to people.
Yeah.
And actually learning that there's personal gain in that for them as well, and they're going to be doing what they need to do in order for their survival. And
oh my God, of course. I mean, the amount of people that dropped off the radar when I got dropped by Polydor.
Really?
It was so sad for me as a kid because I really thought, I was like...
What age was this?
This was, I had just turned 17.
Right, gosh, young, yeah.
And I was like, these people, I thought they were like my friends and I thought that they cared and that they'd stick around. And then even my manager, she fucked off too.
God.
So, I think it's a strength to see the best in people and try and be empathetic and try and,
But it can leave you exposed, can't it?
It can, it really can. It can be very damaging.
Yeah.
And I just wish I'd known. And it's something I'm still working with. I still quite easily feel taken advantage of with people that I let in. So my circle it's never been a big circle, but my circle is very, very small now. I have a select few of people that I know I can rely on.
Yeah.
Who I know can rely on me, and it's like reciprocated. But it's been a hard lesson.
I guess it's that thing of like people like need to earn your trust as well. Like, you can treat everyone with love and kindness, but like trust is something that kind of needs to be earned a bit more.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so before this, I asked you to think of a shit shot. So that is a photo that might be on Instagram, or it might be like an media thing, or just for yourself. But to the outside eye, would look like you had your shit together at that point. But like when it was actually taken, it felt quite different.
A picture from my last album campaign of me, I used horses in it. The cover of my album is basically my arse, but it's a picture of me climbing on top of a horse. It's symbolic, I swear.
Do you know that horse? Is that one of your horses?
No, God, no. My bloody hell digger's a bony old thoroughbred. I love him, bless him, but he couldn't have gotten this job. These horses are movie horses. They're actual film stars, darling.
Oh my God.
Yeah, like these horses we used in Game of Thrones and Outlander.
No
actually,
way.
Some of them definitely.
I thought I recognised him.
I know. So it's a picture of me on this gorgeous what are they called? An Andalusian stallion?
Okay,
Is that what it's? I think that's
beautiful
what
white horse.
Beautiful white horse, basically.
Any normies out there?
And he's back on his hind legs. He's rearing up, and I am holding on for dear life.
Yeah.
But it felt really weird. The only time I've experienced that feeling on a horse is when it's tried to kill me.
Yeah.
So it was an interesting experience to have the horse do that on command. And it's just a really cool pic.
Yeah, it's a cool pic.
I'm wearing a really cool, sexy little lace bodysuit, and I feel like I was a part of Cirque du Soleil or something.
Yeah. Did you feel at that point, like, did you feel in control?
Yes,
I guess because you were like you're about to hand over your album and stuff like that. And
I was shitting myself. I was like, is this the right move? Was the branding? Oh my God. Like after that photo shoot, I was like, what the fuck? I remember on the day I was like, this is all wrong.
Yeah.
This is all wrong. Like, I feel like this isn't me. I feel like I shouldn't be doing this. I like completely lost the belief in myself, and you can kind of see it in the expression on my face. It was a test shot, but I'm like, what the fuck am I doing?
That's so funny because only you would be able to read that.
Yeah, like, because it was all my idea. This is the one thing I absolutely love about like my team and everything. Like, obviously there's creative input, but I'm very much the driving force behind my music and behind like the branding. And I wanted the album cover. I wanted horses to be involved because they're a big part of this album. I went home and I spent all my time with horses, and so that's why they're a massive part in this album. So this was all my idea, even everything down to the looks, the clothes.
Shit hits the fan.
Shit hits the fan, and I'm like, what the fuck? Next thing I'm like basically naked on top of a horse. Like, oh shit, what am I doing? Yeah, this isn't right, but it was, and it felt right. And
the pictures are amazing.
I'm really proud of it. I'm really proud. It was really scary. I was so out of my comfort zone, obviously, like kind of being basically naked in front of like a team of people. But it was like really good. It was empowering, and the horses were amazing, and yeah, I'm now I'm like super happy. I just had a moment of real doubt that day, you know.
Yeah.
As you do, I got cold feet.
Yeah.
And
But it's strange as well because, like, you know, you're a musician, you write all of that, but then now so much a part of it is branding and like knowing what you want the whole thing to look like and the artwork and everything around that. And that can be overwhelming.
Oh my God, it's so, do you know how many fucking Pinterest boards I have? Like, I'm trying to like go back to my roots and like brand myself. It's so hard. It's really difficult, and it doesn't come to me naturally. No. Some parts of it do, like aesthetically I know what I like the look of, and I know sometimes how I want things to look and how I want them to be perceived, but it's really, really hard like branding myself. Because sometimes I regret that I didn't have like a separate name for my project and that it is my own name, because having to brand myself has been such a challenge in the past. It's like it's been really difficult. I feel like,
who is Rosie Carney and who am I?
Yeah,
like,
honestly, like where is the separation here? Like what is reserved for me and what do I show?
That's so interesting.
So that's been hard, but I feel like I've become more fluid with it, and I'm allowing myself to have a bit more fun with it. Especially now, like I'm working on an EP, like a collaborative EP with some really cool people, and it's really, honestly, it's just like a little fun side project of like these kind of dream pop songs. So it's like doing stuff like that is allowing me to take the pressure off like what the whole brand has to be and everything. I think so long as I'm being myself and I'm consistent with that, then it, you know, it becomes more fluid. But
how do you find it being like a perfectionist in that space? Because I've started experiencing it recently, and I mean, with acting you have so little control over it. Like you do like 3 or 4 takes, and then actually it's not down to you which take is chosen and stuff like that, and you very much have to just leave it in the lap of the gods. But as I was saying before, like I had a spoken word piece filmed, and then I am not a musician or a composer, and obviously wanted that with it, and handing over your art to someone else to kind of bring their art to it, I was finding it so difficult to because I didn't have the musical language to express what I wanted. But also knew that I needed someone else to do it.
No, of course.
And like having to relinquish that is really hard.
It is really hard, especially when you're a perfectionist, and especially when I can be so proud about my music, about like the production. That was one good thing. Many good things came out of the album I just released, but another thing is that it's a bit more collaborative than my first one. My first album is me. I co-produced and wrote all the songs myself. But there are some co-writes on the second album, and a lot of creative minds got together to create that body of work, and it took a second for me to be okay with that. I was really, really like protective, really guarded, really proud of like, you know, my role and everything. But then I realized it's actually good to expand your horizons that way, and like you actually end up learning more if you like allow people to come in and not change, but just, I don't know, lend their magic to things and create a bigger body of work that has more textures that you might necessarily not have been able to think of. And but it is a struggle. I'm just learning that I can have fun with my music, and that I can make whatever the fuck I want, and I should be able to do that, even if it's fun. It doesn't always have to be like a serious body of work. It doesn't always have to be, even though I want to be taken seriously.
And you take it seriously, but it can also be joyful.
Exactly. And I want people to see my evolution. I want them to join me like on the journey and see every step, like see me releasing this dream pop music I'm making, and see me like going back to my folk roots, and see me trying things that I've never tried before. It's fun, it's exciting, and I don't want to feel the need to pigeonhole. Jesus.
That's the sound bite of this episode. Stop trying to make me pigeon my hole.
I need to stop talking about pigeons. Pigeonhole myself.
Oh God.
It might sound like a weirdo.
So
anyway,
Rosie.
Yes, Caitlin.
Have you got your shit together?
I'm gonna say I think maybe I do currently. I feel like I do. My peace lily's alive.
Yeah.
I like pigeons, so
Yeah.
yeah, I've got my shit together.
Yeah. That's good. And as long as you don't pigeon your hole, I feel like...
Don't pigeon your hole, please, guys. Don't do that.
If we can take one thing from this episode is please do not pigeon your hole. Thank you so much for coming on.
Of course, thank you so much for having me.